All right, Tide Nation, we are back in from the break on the hottest show on the streets, Friday, TGIF edition of the show, In My Own Words. Now, when we have this particular young man in studio, I become the floating spirit, as he is really the straw that stirs the drink, and I'm talking about none other than Justin Smith, the lead scouting and recruiting analyst for TDA, in the building, in studio. Justin, how you feeling, man?
Feeling pretty good, Steven.
Awesome to have you here, man. You have worked on that tan, brother. You have worked on that tan, looking good over here. So, Justin, first and foremost, you've been out and about this entire week. On today, you were out at Pinson Valley High School checking out five-star defensive back GaQuincy McKinstry, who had dropped his top three. Top three being Alabama, Auburn, LSU, trying to figure out where he's going to go, what's his move. But along with McKinstry, you also went to American Christian Academy here in Tuscaloosa to see four-star defensive back Kamari Lassiter. Talk about both visits. What vibe did you get from both guys? I saw the highlights, saw the couple of the practice tape of McKinstry. What did you see from both guys today?
Well, I saw a lot from both guys and a lot from both of their teams. These kids are excited to get back out there to play football. I know a lot of fans are excited to see it. These guys and these young high school athletes are also excited to get back to football. But as far as GaQuincy McKinstry is concerned, aka Kool-Aid, as most Alabama fans know him as, but as far as his recruitment is concerned, he does have that top three. There are some rumors out there that Auburn is now the leader. In my mind, I think everyone is on a level playing field in his recruitment. I don't think he has made a decision yet. He said all three teams are pushing for him hard, and I think if he knew which school was the favorite, I think he'll go ahead and make a decision. He wants to make a decision whenever the moment feels right. So in my opinion, I think everyone is on a level playing field. Of course, you have to look at each team and see what each team has to offer. You look at Auburn. It is a team that has been constantly in contact with him. His old high school teammate, Bo Nix, who he won multiple state championships with, plays for Auburn. LSU, I know a lot of Tide fans don't like to hear this or do not want to hear this. A lot of young guys see LSU as DBU because they were the first one to say it. And as a young guy myself who's close to these kids' age in a lot of ways, we grew up, LSU was kind of DBU, although Alabama has a right to that name and Ohio State does too as well. But sometimes perception is reality to a lot of kids. So LSU is DBU to a lot of these kids growing up. But like I said, Alabama, Ohio State do have a stake in that argument as well. And moving forward with Kamari Lassiter, I think he's very close to making a decision. I don't think it's going to be the Tide at this very moment with so many other teams pushing for him. I think some other schools have an edge over Alabama in the push for Lassiter, but they are still in contact with them. I will drop a story on touchdownalabama.com tomorrow sometime stating where the Tide is in this recruitment, heading into a decision that may come before the end of this month is out. So it's just exciting getting a chance to catch up with both of those guys.
Well, it looks like for both Kamari Lassiter and GaQuincy McKinstry, we will all be on pins and needles to see what their moves will be. Both guys highly talented. I remember you had mentioned once before, Justin, that McKinstry, the most purest athlete that you have seen in quite some time to come from this state. But going now into the tight end conversation, because that's another position that Alabama fans are wondering, when can we see the next O.J. Howard in here? When can we see the next Irv Smith Jr. in here? When can we get that next athletic or really explosive tight end? There are some guys out there on the recruiting trail that Alabama is looking at. They're keeping their eyes on. What's the latest right now at that tight end position?
Well, they have a couple of tight ends at the moment. I know that Michael Trigg was the receiving tight end that they wanted. They offered him in basketball recently, but he dropped the top three. He did not include the Tide. I was wondering if the Tide was going to make an updated top school list that he updated, but they did not. So I don't think the Tide is in a great position with him heading into a possible decision down the line for him. They were not included in his top three. I think a couple of other guys to pay attention to is Robbie Oots, of course, the three-star tight end out of South Carolina. He is a guy to definitely pay attention to. He does have the Tide in his top three along with Virginia Tech and Alabama. Another guy at the moment is Jalen Sheed, a three-star tight end out of Mississippi. kind of a more athletic tight end than Robbie Ouzts in terms of route running, but Robbie Ouzts is a very aggressive tight end. He really has a level of aggressiveness that you cannot teach. You could tell that it is just something naturally within him. So those are the two guys I would pay attention to. There are a couple of other guys to pay attention to who are not committed, who are committed to other schools, and I think those guys Tide fans may want to pay attention to them as well. But as far as uncommitted prospects, Robbie Ouzts and Jalen Sheed, the Mississippi product.
Folks, if you're just tuning into the show, we got the lead scouting and recruiting analyst for Touchdown Alabama Magazine, Justin Smith, live right here in studio talking 2021 recruiting and beyond. So, Justin, now this guy right here came in the 2020 class, that being Brian Branch, out of Sandy Creek High School in Georgia. There's been a lot of buzz so far, quite a few buzz in the preseason practice program about him stepping his game up, about him really starting to kind of show out in the 7-on-7, 11-on-11 type deals. Now, I was told, of course, I've been told that Nick Saban wants to kind of see the veterans step up and lock this secondary down. But if there was a freshman, if there was a young player that can infiltrate this group of veterans and really wow some folks and get some starting time in that nickel slot corner package, it would be Brian Branch. You got a chance to study him, to get a lot of information on him and about him. What makes Branch a special highlight type of player?
Well, I think what you just said makes him special. He's a natural highlight type of player. This is a kid who just has a natural instinct to make big plays, as he constantly made one-handed catches throughout his high school career. And I remember talking to him about that. I was like, yo, what goes into you catching those one-handed catches? And he told me that it was a lot of practice. So this is something that just doesn't really come natural. Although he has natural athleticism, he's a natural playmaker.
So basically, he's like OBJ, Odell Beckham Jr., but on defense.
Yeah, he is practicing on making those one-handed catches and those big plays. And he also has experience playing on both sides of the football, also has experience playing in the special teams game, being a kick returner and a punt returner. So I think this is a playmaker, one of the biggest playmakers that the Tide pulled in the 2020 recruiting cycle. I know he looks up to Minkah Fitzpatrick, but as far as his game and the way his game is put together, he really reminds me more of Eddie Jackson because of his ability to go after the football and turn those interceptions into pick sixes and turn kick returns and punt returns into touchdowns. So I think he's a really explosive playmaker in the secondary, and I'm not surprised to see him making an early impact.
Another guy that you're quite high on the 2021 recruiting trail is four-star defensive back Terrion Arnold out of Tallahassee, Florida. Now, this is another guy that is looking at getting a basketball offer as well, wants to play football and basketball for the Crimson Tide. You got a chance to visit him, be around him, vibe with him some. Also, what have you been hearing, getting the information in terms of Terrion Arnold? How has he stood out to you?
Well, Terrion Arnold is a very special talent. This is a kid who works relentlessly. That is probably one of the biggest things that I've seen from him, his work ethic. He has a strict workout schedule that goes throughout the day, starting early, incorporating both football.
How early are we talking?
I'm talking like 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock in the morning.
Okay, that's early.
Yeah, and it goes into the late afternoon because he's incorporating football, basketball, along with some weight training, some DB drills, incorporating a little bit of everything, trying to get ready for the next level. I think the Tide is still in a good position with them. Of course, he stays in contact with multiple members of their staff. Nick Saban constantly states that he really likes Terrion Arnold, stating that you have my full support if you want to play both sports at the next level, with Saban even going forward to say, yo, after practice, I may put up a couple shots and play one-on-one against you to help you prepare for the basketball season. So he has the Tide's coaching staff full support to play both sports. So I think that is something that is very unique about the Tide's recruiting efforts for him and some of the other guys that they offer both in football and basketball. So I think the Tide is definitely in a great position moving forward. I don't think a decision is coming anytime soon for him. He's going to evaluate all of his options some more. A decision may be months away for this impressive 2021 defensive back prospect. Several teams are in the mix, including the Tide. I'll pay attention to Georgia, Florida State, with them being the home state school. He literally stays right around the corner from Florida State University, so he literally can play home. That is a team to pay attention to. Florida as well gives him an opportunity to play at home, but the sleeper is Ohio State. You do not hear too much about Ohio State in his recruitment, but they are definitely the sleeper. He told me they are really coming on for him at the moment. And as I said earlier, Ohio State has just as much right to that DBU claim as Alabama and LSU in a lot of ways.
Getting really tough here in this 2021 recruiting cycle, but also just as you look at going back to the defensive line, and you and I talked about this before coming on here, one Tim Keenan, the 4-star defensive tackle out of Birmingham, he's about to drop another list in his own credit. So talk about Tim Keenan. What's the latest? What's the update as Alabama trying to get as many defensive linemen as they have on the offensive line?
Well, he's about to drop top 5 soon. He dropped the top 5, a top 10 recently. He's about to cut it to a top 5. I think the Tide will most definitely be included along with a couple of SEC teams and a couple of teams outside the SEC as well. I still feel the Tide is in a great position with him if he were to commit soon. I'm going to get some more information about what his future will be as far as his recruitment is concerned. And in the past, he has always said that he wants to wait all the way to National Signing Day, which
why do they want to give us a heart attack, man?
Which a lot of fans do not like that waiting in anticipation. But I think the Tide really wants to add this impressive defensive tackle. I really like his game, a guy who's a bit on the bigger side in terms of I know you see a lot of leaner defensive tackles now. He's a bit on the thicker side as far as his body frame, but he's very impressive for a guy his size, not afraid to use his hands and not really just use that size to bowl over people. He has a wide range of hand moves in his repertoire, so I'm really impressed with the Ramsey product, and I think the Tide will be in his top 5 involved in his recruitment moving forward.
He's Justin Smith, ladies and gentlemen, the lead scouting and recruiting analyst for Touchdown Alabama Magazine, coming on here, dropping the wisdom, the knowledge, the insight on the 2021 recruiting cycle and beyond. Justin, as always, it's great to have you in here. It's great to break down recruiting with you. We know you got to get on that road because you're continuing to go coast to coast to scout out these athletes. But, folks, we take another break here on the show. Upon our return, though, we dive back to the phone lines. We pick up your phone calls, your questions, your tweets, your chats, your concerns. What are you feeling right now for Bama football? We'll talk about it after this.
Touchdown Alabama Magazine is Alabama football's premier publication. A subscription to Touchdown Alabama Magazine is the perfect gift for any Alabama fan. For exclusive news and information, recruiting updates, a free annual print magazine, and more, go to touchdownalabama.com and click join. Only $5.95 per month or pay $49.95 for a full year subscription. That's a saving of almost $22. Go to touchdownalabama.com today and roll Tide. T-Town Menswear in the University Mall in Tuscaloosa.
Thank you for watching Touchdown Alabama Magazine's YouTube channel. To continue to get the best in Alabama football content, subscribe here and turn on your notifications to stay connected with the hottest shows covering your Crimson Tide.